So we thought it'd be fun to kind of kick things off with a crowd question. So as people are joining the webinar, what's the first car you bought, and do you wish you still owned it? And then what did you learn from that car experience? So what's the first car you bought, and do you wish you still owned it? And kind of what did you learn from there? So if you wouldn't mind kind of kicking things off with our webinar today, put your answers in the chat. We'd love to hear your guys' experiences of your first car you bought, and do you wish you still owned it? And then just if you want to share some kind of color around the experience, we'd love to hear car stories.
Yes, we love
So
car stories.
yes. So well, I am Derek Hensley, and I have the pleasure of introducing Matt Syverson, our car guru here at Sound Stewardship. We're a fee-only financial planning and wealth management firm, but we love to talk about cars. You know, we do holistic planning, and car purchases come up all the time. And so we thought, hey, it'd be fun to have a webinar and just kind of pick Matt's brain on, what's the lay of the land with the car market now? What are some things we should be thinking about, things to avoid, just all kinds of stuff around that. So we hope you will leave this webinar with just increased confidence around buying your next car. So Matt, thank you for taking some time out of your day to join us here and share your insight on vehicles.
Yeah, you bet, Derek. This is very fun for me, and I love cars. I've either owned or driven at least a dozen different makes, and it's a lot of fun. And so it's whenever we get in a client conversation where we're talking about buying a car or selling a car, the guys always kid me because my eyes light up and I'm ready to talk about that almost the whole meeting. But I have to restrain myself. But it is a fun topic for me. And so now today's focus on buying a car with confidence is about the adult clients, probably not the teenager junker necessarily. It's for the adult clients, their daily driver, I call that, the thing you're commuting with or going back and forth with, and not about collectible cars today. That could be a different topic for those who want to talk about collecting cars. That's a whole nother subject, but we're focusing on daily drivers for today. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And as questions come up as we're working through this, feel free to use that Q&A. The chat feature might be disabled, so just throw any kind of communications you have in that Q&A feature there at the bottom of the screen. And yeah, we'd love to hear from you. So Matt, I'm interested to hear, do you have any kind of good car stories to kick things off?
I'm so glad you asked, Eric, because I absolutely do. So imagine just graduating from college, no money to speak of. You get your first job out in Tucson, Arizona for 25 grand a year. What's the first thing you think you should do about a vehicle?
Oh, hmm.
Lease a brand new vehicle,
It's
right?
got to
Isn't that
be
what you should
leasing
do?
a
Yeah.
vehicle,
You don't have any
right?
money, so you might as well lease because
Yeah.
yeah, what else are you going to do? So first thing out of the gate, I'm leasing a vehicle at 25 years old. And fast forward to within a few months of that lease being up, my wife and I had relocated up to Denver at that point. I'm about 3 months away from getting that lease taken care of. It's on my day off. What does a young married couple in Denver absolutely need to drive, in order to be part of the culture? Well, of course, it's a Jeep Wrangler, Derek. You
Of
realize
course.
this?
Of
Yeah,
course.
of course. So on my day off, I just thought, I'll just go down to the Jeep dealer and just poke around and see what's there. And long story short, by the end of that day, we had bought a 1998 Jeep Wrangler on payments, and the lease on the other car was still going along too. So here we're young, married, no kids, three vehicles all of a sudden, one under a mandatory lease, and one we just financed a whole bunch of money on it. So um, yeah, so that was interesting. And needless to say, I didn't talk to my wife, Tammy, quite enough about buying a car in the same day and having debt all of a sudden in our young married life. And so that wasn't the most exciting time. Oh, it was a pretty exciting time, but that wasn't the most pleasant time for her to deal with my car buying experiences at that moment. She learned a lot about me as a 26-year-old. So it was very interesting. Um, After I turned in the lease months later, Toyota calls and says, "Hey, there's a whole bunch of hail damage on this vehicle. You're going to have to pay for that. That's part of the lease." I said, "Check the days of the hailstorm. I'm pretty sure I turned that in before the hailstorm happened, and then like, oh, yep, you're right. Okay. So I was off the hook there. Finally had that lease behind me. But what I quickly realized, probably the first weekend in driving that Wrangler into the mountains, that it was a four-speed manual transmission, four-cylinder, no air conditioning. If you've ever
Ooh,
lived in Denver, I mean, it does get cold in Denver, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of sun in Denver, and you need air conditioning quite a bit. So that, wow, I didn't quite check the strength of the engine nor the air conditioning. I mean, the outside looked great. I mean, it looked fantastic,
yeah,
but it was a little toasty on the inside with no guts under the hood. So here, first weekend going out to the western slope in Colorado on I-70 and trudging up that hill. I'm having to downshift because it's so hard to get up there. And I've got semi trailers passing me. I've got RVs pulling boats that are passing me easily. And I'm going like, 40 miles an hour in second gear trying to get up that hill. So I'm like, what did I do? Now we're in debt with a car with no guts. Now, once it got off road, Derek, to be fair, once we were off road, that thing was unstoppable. The Wranglers are unstoppable, but on the interstate, no bueno. So, come a long way since 1998.
learned a lot, learned a
Learned a
lot.
lot of lessons,
But
like you may have when others on the call bought their first cars or had their young adult cars. But anyway,
yeah,
I've you can learn a lot about all of Matt's mistakes in today's call is the point. I'll just be open book
right.
and yeah,
There we go. Awesome. Well, yeah, let's kick things off. Let's see. Before COVID, there's always kind of this, spread between used cars and new cars, but it seemed like that kind of got a little crazy,
yeah,
post COVID. And so, where are things kind of ending up nowadays? What's the car market looking like for used and new, and what should we
yeah.
be looking for out there?
Yeah, as we tune in today, summer of 2024, the average new car price is about 48,600, somewhere in there. When you
Yeah.
smush all the new cars together, 48.6 is the brand new vehicle average to purchase. Okay. And that's about 5 grand more than just 3 years ago, August of 2021. So the big spike happened just right at when people started moving around a little bit after the big COVID freeze in 2020. Then a big inflation spike happened on new vehicles during that time. So now we're kind of at the top of a cycle with new car prices that's kind of hovering. It kind of goes
Mhm.
up and down a little bit, but not nearly the spike that we saw from 21 until now.
Yeah.
The other issue you're dealing with brand new vehicles is the dealers don't have a ton of inventory on their lots. So even if you order one, there's probably going to be a long wait time, and um, and you might just be put on a list for, okay, the next time the 2025 you fill in the blank comes in, we'll call and see if you want it. And if you don't want it, okay, you get put to the bottom of the list and they call the next guy. So it's a little tricky buying new just because of all the supply chain disruptions that happen and all the how the dealers are trying to sell cars differently these days. So it's not foolproof that you may not be able to drive away with one the same day like I did in 1998,
Yeah.
unless you absolutely like everything in
Hmm.
that vehicle has that's on the lot. I'm sure they'll sell you one, but if you're looking for do it the way Derek Hensley wants to do it, you may have to wait a while.
Yeah.
Okay. So the other things that people are considering these days regarding new is they are wondering, should I do a lease or not?
Mhm.
And so where we are, typically we advise against the lease. That's commonly for high income folks
Yep.
with resources that
Yep.
could buy outright, but they're just
Hmm.
choosing to make the payment. We're back in 1996. I didn't have any money. I had no business leasing. So high income with resources and low mileage that they're putting on per year, maybe 10 to 12,000 per year, and those that take care of their vehicles. So this should probably not be the one where you've got lots of little ones running around the cabin of the car and spilling things everywhere and all
Yeah.
that good
Don't
stuff.
lease a minivan, is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
probably not. Yes.
Yeah.
But where we are starting to consider it for clients is those that want to get into the hybrid or electric
Yeah.
vehicle space. That technology is moving really fast. So
Yep.
that could be a spot to consider a lease, um, because in 3 years, who knows what the technology is going to be. So you can, okay, you
Hmm.
can give that one back and then find the next one.
Yeah.
Again, but you got to have a high income with resources, low miles, and well-trained children. Okay,
Yes,
that's how the lease could work.
that's right.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's kind of on the newer side of things, but what about the used car market?
Yeah. Yeah. During that COVID time when new cars were locking up from supply chain,
Hmm.
the demand for used cars really pushed up. So now they're at some points they were getting real close to what the new car prices
Yeah.
were when on the lot. In fact, there's a couple of our clients did what I call, well, Derek, have you ever heard of arbitrage, where
Hmm.
you buy low and then
Yeah.
sell higher? We called it carbitrage, where they had bought a vehicle in, let's say, 2018, 2019 for X amount. We get into COVID, they're selling that same vehicle that they've held and kept up in 2020, 21 for more than they paid for it back in
Yeah.
2018, 2019. I think that's the first time in my lifetime, I'm 53 this year, first time in my lifetime that I've seen used cars, non-collectibles, being sold for what they were bought for just 3 or 4 years ago. So that was crazy. That kind of stuff's not necessarily happening anymore, but the average price on used these days is about 25.5. So not quite half of the new car average. So there's still a difference. Okay. Sometimes we hear, there's only a couple $100 difference between new and used. Really? Not
Yeah.
necessarily. So
Right.
anyway, it depending on your resources and your, we're going to talk about car personalities today. There's going to be buying used tends to still save you some dollars over time if you buy it right.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. And so when we think about the car buying experience, like what are some things we need to be aware of?
You bet. So that there's three biggies that we're going to talk about today. It's an emotional purchase.
Yeah.
It's an expensive purchase, and your level of patience matters. Okay. And or your spouse's patience. Okay.
Yeah.
Because there's, if you're married, there's two people's personalities to smush together to make this decision. But it's emotional, it's expensive, and so the timing of how we do this matters.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So what's this? You had mentioned kind of this car buying personality.
Yeah.
So could you kind of unpack that a little bit for us?
Yeah. This is yet to be copywritten, so you're hearing it for the first time. But your car personality or how you acquire cars, we believe is first influenced by your father, most likely, maybe grandfather, and or an influencer like Dave Ramsey. Okay.
Mm,
So that's probably the first what we call money scripts you heard was from your father and how he purchased cars, or if you've been listening to Dave Ramsey, how he says to purchase cars. So just a quick example. In the same day, sometimes we'll have clients considering buying cars, and the one in the client in the morning says, "My dad always said to buy new because you don't want to own anyone else's problems."
yeah.
Okay, that's the client in the
Hmm.
morning. Client in the afternoon comes in and says, "My dad always said, always buy used because you can get a much better deal. As soon as that car drives off the lot, it depreciates and you're never going to make that back." Okay, same day, the same wealthy clients, different dads,
Hmm.
and different script that they've grown up with. And if
Yeah.
and the money script is what we that's a subconscious learning that you did in your formative years, let's say
Yeah.
between 5 to sometimes even up to 18 years old, depending on how influential your parents were, that you just kind of believed that's what was normal.
Yeah.
And you might have carried that with you as a 45, 55, 65, 75-year-old today without even realizing it unless you think about, oh, where did that come from?
Yeah.
Now, my father, John Syverson, loved the guy to death. He got me into this business 24 years ago. Um, he always said, "Matt, don't buy a four-wheel drive since they're the most costly to maintain." And even though I love my father to death, I own four four-wheel drive vehicles all at the same time at this moment. So I'm not rebelling. I'm just saying it's kind of like, Dad, I can do it. It's okay. I'm a big boy now. I can handle four-wheel
Yeah.
drives. Um, Now in his case, he's a lease guy. So he is leased since the 90s.
Mm.
Okay. And that's where do you think I learned it? Because
Yeah.
if my dad's leasing, I'm graduating college. What do
Mm-hmm.
you think the idea is going to be? Well,
Yeah.
I saw my dad doing it. So, okay, I'm going to do a lease, not realizing all he had money. I didn't. So,
Yeah. A
anyway,
little different ball game, I
yeah.
guess. Yeah.
Yeah. But you talk to Dave Ramsey about a lease, and what does he call a lease? What's his
Yeah.
nickname for a lease?
Fleece. Yeah.
A
Yeah.
fleece,
Yep.
exactly. So you should run for the hills.
Right.
Don't ever do it. It doesn't apply to anybody. Now that's not true either, but it takes the right person.
Yeah.
Others that like Jonathan, my business partner here, grew up in Michigan, so it's always buy American made, always
Yep.
buy Michigan steel, right?
Yep.
And never foreign. I mean, you're not patriotic if you buy a foreign vehicle. Where others might say, man, in order to get the car that will be most reliable, buy the foreign vehicle, not the
Mm-hmm.
domestic. So it's either way. Now, Dave Ramsey would say, regardless of the brand, just buy the hoopty, the
Mm-hmm.
junker vehicle until you have enough money to buy the next thing and then keep upgrading. But so he's got a whole different path to car success as we go
Yeah.
along for folks that are just kind of getting started or starting over. All right. That's
Yeah.
most of our clients are not in that spot. The vast
Right.
majority are not in that spot. Now, if you're on the coast, or maybe you grew up in an urban city, your dad might have said, skip the car. You don't even
Yeah.
need it.
Yeah.
Just take your bike, public transportation, skip the car. You can save all kinds of money.
Yep.
So in case someone's in those situations, it's hard in Kansas City to do full public transportation. It's not quite the same as New York City.
Yeah.
So
We're a little spread out here. So
yeah, we still need cars here. So
yeah.
so anyway, so my guess is dad or some sort of influence in your life probably had the biggest impact on your car script or your starting personality.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going to define four different types. You know, with personality types, there's always four, right? There's never three or five. It's always
Right.
four.
That's right.
Okay, so it goes like this. Um, Cars can protect you, cars can validate you, cars can satisfy you, or you want to avoid them altogether. Okay,
Yeah.
so those are the big four. So let me go over them. On the cars protect side, that's designed for the person that says, I'm a very practical buyer. I'm going to do a ton of research. I'm going to read consumer reports cover to cover. I want all the safety features, low maintenance costs, good fuel economy. Because I'm making a good decision on this, that's going to protect my net worth and I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
avoid as many mistakes as possible. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's number one. Number two is cars validate. So this is the buyer, regardless of brand, is looking for him to validate his or her image in the community.
Mm-hmm.
So if I roll in a brand new Mercedes or a Range Rover or Rolls Royce for that matter, that's going to tell others I'm a pretty big deal,
Yeah.
right? Even this morning on the way into the office, I saw an Infiniti QX80. So Infiniti is the luxury brand of Nissan. The
Okay.
QX80 is the big fat SUV that they create. And
Gotcha.
on the license plate it said in charge.
Oh yeah. There
So
you go.
luxury brand, largest
Yep.
SUV, I'm in charge.
Yeah.
The car is validating that driver.
Yeah.
So I didn't wave or anything. I didn't say hi, but I thought, I see you. I
Yeah.
see you're a big deal there.
Yeah.
Right behind it, Derek, I'm not making this up. You know I can't lie on a webinar.
That's right.
It was followed by a Tesla with a brand new Tesla with a license plate that said charged,
There you go.
charged. Okay.
That's
So they
fun.
now that Tesla was sending a message. So here
Yeah.
I got the latest technology. Look, I'm charged. I don't need
Yeah.
that fuel that QX80 is going on 10 miles a gallon. I go
Right.
all day long and
Yeah.
never touch a drop of gas. Okay. So
Yeah.
they're both sending messages, but
Mm-hmm.
that's potentially validating who they are as a person. Okay. Their
Mm-hmm.
identity is kind of wrapped up in those vehicles. Now, the third one, which is this is me, Derek. Cars satisfy. So this is where the buyer wants the car to allow him or her to have experiences they want to enjoy. Maybe it's the
Yeah.
going fast. So they want a Porsche or if you want a muscle car, you get a Mustang or a
Yeah.
Corvette or something. Or they want to haul a bunch of stuff. So then they get the pickup or the Suburban. Okay, you got a big family.
Yeah.
Or off-roading in the wilderness.
Mm?
Off-roading in the wilderness is
Yeah.
my thing.
It's a
So
thing.
we've been doing that since 1994, my wife and I. So
Yeah.
that's a lot of fun. Or maybe you want the electrified initiative where you're wanting to be part of the green economy and not use
Yeah.
fuel. Now you are using electricity.
Mm-hmm.
So But and this moment, what might be even more satisfying for electric buyers is there are some clean energy vehicle credits.
Yeah.
You got to make sure your income qualifies. You got to make sure you look at the brand. The IRS has a whole site for that. But the point is, the car satisfies because it's scratching a particular itch.
Yeah.
Now, for me, I've got two itches I'm scratching. One is I go off road in the Wrangler, and we actually have three different types of Jeeps, and then also have the Suburban. My fuel economy stinks. I get that. So the Tesla owners on the call just kind of died three
Yep.
times, maybe four times inside.
Yeah.
But I can haul my family of six wherever we need to go, and it's got enough towing capacity. I can even pull the Jeep behind me
Yeah.
to go to the
Yeah.
off-roading events, or we can
Yeah.
rent an RV and pull the Jeep. So anyway, the vehicles for me provide an experience, both
Yeah.
taking my family on trips now or going off-road with a Wrangler. That's a unique experience that not everybody can do. Okay. The last one is the car avoidant person, where they could care less about what car they drive. Just give me four wheels to get back and forth to work. I don't want to think about it.
Yeah.
The car doesn't define me. I don't need the bells and whistles. It's okay if it's a crank window with no AC, which is what the 98 Wrangler was at the time. Other things are more important than life.
Hmm.
Now, when that car gives up on them, they're still going to be upset just like the rest of us. But they're probably not going to lease a brand new vehicle. They're just going to be, just give me something. I don't care. Just give me something and I'll drive it. And 10, 12 years later, we'll figure something else out. Okay. So those are the big four.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And so as we're thinking about purchasing a vehicle, like what are some of the costs that we should be targeting
Yeah.
around
Yeah.
that purchase?
Yeah. So then once you've kind of known what your personality is, then you got to be prepared to handle the total cost of whatever it is that's going to coincide with your personality.
Yeah.
And I should note, be careful to know your spouse's personality as well, because you might have completely, if an avoidant person connects with a validation person, oh boy, that's going to be quite a different vehicle purchase decision
Yeah.
there. Okay, so just be really careful about that. So the total cost is us financial nerds would say, what do you have available to spend on this purchase without going into debt or without going into too much debt?
Yeah.
Okay. Slash, will this purchase, excuse me, derail something else? Okay. If you say yes to this purchase, what are you saying no to? Okay.
Yeah.
So
That's
when we're
good.
thinking about finite resources, there's only so much going around.
Hmm.
So we're trying to come down to what's the appropriate purchase price that won't derail other things? How can we do it for no debt, if not for short-term debt, if we really have to, and go from there? So one thing I like to come up with is your BARF number. Okay, like what's the most you can possibly stand writing a check for without literally
Yeah.
throwing up in the dealer showroom? Okay,
Yeah.
and your wife or if you're the wife, your husband might have a different BARF number, so you got to figure out what that number is. And
Yeah.
then what's the minimum you're willing to spend? Like I know we can spend more than 5,000 on this gently used something or other. But
Hmm.
man, if 48.5 was the new car average, I'd much rather be at that 25.5 used car average. So that
Yeah.
if 48 makes you barf, okay, pull it down from there. Okay. Um, if you need to come up with a monthly purchase or a loan for a monthly purchase, let's figure that out in our office. Don't let the mysterious sales manager behind the curtain figure that out at the dealership.
Right.
That's not the place to figure out that payment. Okay.
Yeah.
We can figure out that for you behind the scenes. There's calculators everywhere. We're the safe place to do that. Okay. And again, just be careful. If you say yes to this 1998 Wrangler, what are you derailing in your other goals for life? Okay. But that total cost is going to be not, I mean, the purchase price is not the tip of the iceberg, but that's the starting point. But then it's
Yeah.
your tax title license just to get that vehicle in your name. I
Hmm.
typically say multiply the purchase price by about 10%, and there's your initial total cost. So that's around, just to keep the math simple today. For a $50,000 new car, you're going to pay about 5 grand for the sales tax, the title, and to get that license plate on the back of that thing. Okay. Um, then what's the insurance going to look like? So make sure you talk to your agent. What's the insurance going to be on this thing I'm considering? What's the fuel economy? Okay. There's a big difference between a Prius that a lot of our clients love to drive and my Chevy Suburban.
Yeah.
Very different. And that plays into that fuel cost throughout the year. What about the maintenance needs? Um, so that Tesla, the charged Tesla that I ran into this morning, it's basically you're switching out tires
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
eventually a battery down the road, but there's not a ton of maintenance going on except software downloads. Where my Jeep Grand Cherokee with a Hemi in it, okay, that's a spiffed up V8 engine, every 30,000 miles, there's a $1,500 tune-up that
Woo.
blasted Hemi engine needs. So again, that's not for someone that's struggling to get by. And look, I don't even want to pay for it, but that's if you get the Hemi engine
Yeah.
on the Jeep vehicle, you're gonna have to do that every 30,000 miles. So now, like I said, with the Tesla and the electric vehicles, there can be some tax credits these days. So just make sure to see if you want to enjoy that. Derek, I did see on the list from the IRS there is a plug-in hybrid Jeep Wrangler.
Okay.
So
Hey.
I can maybe think about that eventually down the road.
Yeah, you might need to add that to the lineup there.
Yeah.
I don't know. So
Yes. Last thing, just for a gut check that we'll ask you is how long are you willing to keep this thing?
yeah.
If you want
Yeah.
to trade out every 3 years, just do the lease.
Yeah.
Stop buying high and then trading in low and then buying high and trading in low. Just do the lease.
Yeah.
But if you're willing to buy gently used, maybe 1 to 3 years old, keep it for a long period of time, you're going to save a ton of money over time. Okay, so
Hmm.
think about how long you're going to keep it as another gut check. Um, so there's kind of three initial questions we're going to ask about. Okay, what are you looking for? If someone says, we're ready to switch out our vehicle, these days you got to come up with, are you going gas? Are you going hybrid, which involves some sort of gas and electric, maybe plugs in, maybe doesn't.
Yeah.
And then there's full electric. Okay, and that's the EV is full electric. Okay, there's no gas involved whatsoever. So that's the initial part of the flow chart is gas, hybrid, or electric.
Hmm.
Then we want to know about seating capacity. If you're trying to haul all the grandkids around, maybe the Prius works for that, but I'm not saying the Suburban. Not everybody wants that, but maybe a 7 passenger something or other
Yeah.
would be a better situation. Then what about towing capacity? Do you have toys that you're hauling? Are there trailers you're trying to haul different things for projects around the house, or you live out in the country, you need to be hauling? What's your towing capacity? So that what do you want to fill it with? What people you want to fill it with? What fuel or electric you want to fill it with, and then what are you trying to pull with it? Once I know kind of those three things, then we'll figure out, okay, do we go new
Hmm.
versus used versus lease? And then we get into then we start shopping. Now, part of your car personality might say, I have to go to a dealer to physically see and touch
Yeah.
the vehicle. And I do recommend test driving here and there. You need to smell the vehicle, especially used. You do need to make sure you like how it smells and all that good stuff. But so much of the shopping can be done online
Yeah.
after some discussions in our office or over the phone. And so some places we like to go, and we'll send these out as resources after the fact. But some places we like to go are cargurus.com.
Yep.
Now, Derek called me a car guru at the beginning. It's not my website, but cargurus.com
Hmm.
is a nice site that goes nationally, and it combines the dealer choices with the private party
Oh, nice.
choices, some that are no haggle, some that are full haggle. It just depends on what you want. Okay. So you look there, then you can move on to a carmax.com. And so those are dealers in various cities. It's no haggle pricing. Okay. So they might be in your city. The sticker on the windshield, that's what they're offering it for, no haggle. And they can relocate it. So if I'm wanting something here in Kansas City, but they found it at a CarMax in Denver, okay, for $100 or $200, they'll ship it over to the other CarMax in Kansas City, and away we go. The other kind of trend these days is just buying online. It's
Hmm.
completely online. It literally shows up at your door. So that's carvana.com, CARVANA.com. That is a common no haggle internet site. And during the pandemic, they were even swooping up cars left and right. They were
Yeah.
buying the used car from you. You send them a variety of pictures. They'll give you a quote that day and come and pick it up, give you a check, away we go. It was the craziest thing.
Hmm.
I don't think that worked out completely well for them, but they're still offering these gently used vehicles through Carvana.
Yeah.
Then we get into the local dealer, and everybody has their favorite local dealers. Some have better reputations than others, so stick with the ones with a good reputation. These days, they're probably more. You could negotiate a ton. These days, it's going to what I call low haggle.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to get much more off the price that they're offering it for. But it's face to face. They probably have the maintenance shop if you need it. If you don't have your own trusted mechanic outside of a dealership, so that's still absolutely a viable option. It's just the inventory may or may not be the spiffiest right now. It just depends on the time. One of our favorite options in the Kansas City area comes from a guy named Kyle Porter who runs Executive Automotive.
Hmm.
That's literally his website,
Yep.
executiveautomotive.com. So he sources gently used, mostly Asian vehicles. So like Lexus and Toyota are his favorite. Okay, so if you're looking for Lexus and Toyota, you don't want to pay full price, you're willing to get one 1 to 3 years old or so, Kyle's your guy. And there's a showroom there. He has a service shop. It's all he can do. He can sell your car on consignment. He can take a trade in. I mean, he's got all the bells and whistles. What he doesn't do though is he doesn't buy new for you. You just go to the dealer for that, and that's enough trouble in of its own. He doesn't buy the new, but on the used market, he can help you with just about anything, and he can broker it. So if you said, I want a the 2020 Jeep Wrangler
Yeah.
with purple seats and orange wheels. Okay, he can find that wherever that is in the country. Okay, so Kyle's a really good resource for everybody.
Yeah.
The
Now,
last
Matt,
one, go ahead.
on that broker piece, when you ask him for something, is he's just finding a vehicle that checks the boxes. He's not validating necessarily maybe the quality of the vehicle, or is he doing that too?
Well, the that's a good point. If you want a 2020 Chevy Suburban with all the bells and whistles, he will look for that nationally.
Hmm.
And there should be some service records or some Carfax information they call it to kind of
Gotcha.
check some things. He's going to know based on mileage how much wear and tear does that thing have. But once it comes in, what either he would do or you would request is that, hey Kyle, this is great, but I need to get this checked out. So what we call a pre-purchase inspection.
Yeah.
Now with his shop on site, he'll just
Do it right
can take
there.
care of that for you.
Yeah.
But if you're not working with a guy like Kyle, then you'd still want to take this used vehicle you're considering to your mechanic to make sure it checks out before you get surprised by something. Okay.
Yeah.
The final frontier is Facebook Marketplace. Now,
It is
I've
a
seen
frontier.
it. Oh my goodness. It is the Wild West. Be
Yes.
careful. If so it's a double-edged sword if you're buying from someone you know or someone who's kind of in your sphere. So
Hmm.
at least you kind of recognize, oh, this person's a fine, upstanding citizen. I think I can buy from them. But then it's always tricky if there's a problem with the vehicle and they're kind of a friend or an associate,
Yeah.
it gets a little weird. So just make sure they're reporting the VIN number, the Carfax. If it has a rebuilt title or salvage title, walk away,
Yeah.
move on. Okay, so let us help you with that to sniff out if there's something bad. I'm going through this right now with my awesome 23-year-old daughter, Grace, who keeps finding these deals on Facebook. I'm like, sweetheart, it's a rebuilt title, it's a salvage title, it's been in 20,000 wrecks. That's why it's a good deal. Walk
Yeah.
away.
Right. Yeah.
So she's
Yeah.
figuring it out. She's figuring it
Yep.
out. So it's good.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah. There are the hassle factor is a little higher on there, but there are deals to be found. It's
yes,
just harder to find. So,
absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah.
Okay.
Good. Well, yeah. So we kind of uncovered this car personality and talking about the total costs. Making sure we know what we can afford and what all that entails. So let's talk a little bit about the emotional side of the car purchase. Like, how do we kind of slow down and be patient, and like, how does what do you recommend doing on that side of the purchase? We
Yeah.
talked about the numbers a little bit. Let's talk about the emotions because I could already feel my hands getting sweaty just talking about the emotions around the car purchase. So,
Yes. So to me, in order to buy with confidence, it takes a great degree of patience which not all of us have. Okay, because I get amped up as well when I'm
Mhm.
thinking about buying cars. But patience is going to save the day, and you combine that with good old-fashioned prayer and say, God, you know the right car for me. You know what I should be driving. My identity is in you, not in this vehicle. So please help me find it. Um, and he might say, hey, bud, it's the car you're currently driving. Just fix it and keep going. As Dave Ramsey says, that might be the cheapest option on the table is just to
Yeah,
fix it and keep going. But um, yeah, but ask for patience, pray for patience, ask for guidance as to where the car is. Don't get in a bidding war or fight over a vehicle. Yeah, just he's got the right one picked out for you. Just got to wait a little bit. The other common thing I hear is, well, it's got 100,000 miles now, so it's about to fall apart. These days, depending on which brand you buy and you know what model it is, 100,000, they're just getting broken in. So they can go 300,000 miles these days if you want to, if that's your personality. But just because you get to 100 doesn't mean you have to replace it. We're
yeah,
still going back to, do you have the resources to do it? And if you bought something at 100, if you replaced the vehicle because you got to 100,000 on the current one, what does that derail in terms of progress and other things you're working on? Okay.
yeah.
Um, the other common thing I see, and trust me, owning 3 Jeeps, I'm in the shop quite a bit. Derek, have I ever told you what Jeep stands for?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I've never shared that with. Just empty every pocket.
Oh,
Okay.
that's fitting, I think,
Yeah.
for Jeeps there. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a,
not literally, my fellow Jeep owners. You know they're a joy to drive, but there should be like joyful experience for every person, I think is what
oh,
a
that
Jeep
that's
should
another good
stand for.
one. Yeah,
I mean, that could be the better one, but just because you need a heavy duty repair doesn't mean, it's time to replace this thing.
yeah,
No, take a step back,
yeah,
figure out, is this a repair that's going to help it retain its value, help it last 12, 24 months,
yeah,
according to your goals? and and quite frankly, if it's a devastating repair like the transmission, everybody thinks, if I have to replace the transmission, I should just replace the vehicle. No, if you try to trade in a vehicle that has a crummy transmission, that's like trying to get money out of a 2 pound paper, 2 ton
yeah,
paperweight. It's
yeah,
not going to happen.
yeah,
So I'd rather you get the car fixed the way it needs to be,
yeah,
keep driving it if you can, and then you've actually got something to sell or trade in down the road versus a 2 ton paperweight that's
yeah,
not worth anything to anybody.
yeah. It's like a double whammy at that point.
Yes, exactly,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Um, if you're in an accident, there's plenty of ways to rent vehicles these days. Make sure you utilize the insurance company's plan. But then you probably have friends or family that could let you borrow vehicles here and there. Turo is like the Airbnb of local vehicles for
Oh,
people, where
okay.
you can literally rent from neighbors that you didn't realize.
Is
So
that is
they
that
could
pretty available nationwide, or is it mostly just like Kinsley?
more urban and suburban. Like if
Yeah.
you're out in the sticks, there might not be someone that's renting. But with my daughters were even down in Stillwater at college, and there were Turo
Okay.
operators there at a town of 20, 30,000. So
Yeah.
Turo, there's an app for that, and then that's how you can rent privately. So it's a great way if you're like, hey, I want to see how a Tesla works, and I want to have it for a week. Okay, the dealer's not going to let you do that, but Turo would let you do that. You could try it for the week, see what you think, and then give it back and
Oh,
make your
nice.
decision.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I think that's good for now. Are there any questions that are coming in that I need to address? Otherwise, I have a few other nuggets if there's not a ton of questions coming in.
Nothing pressing right now. I
Yeah,
know some people might be saving the questions towards the end, but yeah, no,
yeah,
nothing came up as of now. One question I have is, so I have sold a car on Facebook, and I've also bought a car on Facebook, but we thought about going the dealership route, and I was like, oh, they're gonna get one over on me, so I'm gonna go private party there. So how do we? I probably have my own script, all right, that's kind of
yeah.
come to light there. But how should we kind of handle the trade in versus private party sale issue?
hmm Yeah, when you're ready to be done with the vehicle.
Yeah.
So much of the trade-in versus selling it privately is about, do you have the time and energy and willingness to futz with the paperwork and deal with the public? You can probably make more by selling it privately, probably, but are you willing to put up with the time and the paperwork? So like for um, like a single mom that needs to sell her car, I wouldn't want a bunch of people coming to her house to buy a vehicle. I mean, or a widow. I mean, no, let's not
Yeah.
expose them to
Right.
problems in the Facebook marketplace sphere. Okay.
Yeah.
But if you're up for doing it, you can even we've had people meet at our office as a safe place to come
Yep.
to do the transaction. But it's all about time and energy and willing to do the paperwork. If you trade in, like our friend Kyle Porter would say, I'm not going to give you the private party sale price because I've got to turn this thing around and sell it myself and make a little bit of money on it. So the trade-in is going to be a whole lot less than the private party, but it's out of your hair. It's gone. Okay.
Yeah.
But the other little switcheroo that Kyle can do for you is sell it on consignment. So that's a new third rail. Not everybody does that, but he'll say, okay, I'll sell this. He's got a 2017 Ford Raptor on his site right now. Normally, he holds Lexus and Toyota, so a 2017 Ford Raptor truck is not his vehicle, but he's doing that for another buyer. He's trying to sell it for him, and then Kyle will take a fee for the sale, and then the consignor will then take the proceeds after Kyle's fee. So it's another way to get possibly more out of it. Without having to futz with it.
Yeah. So it's kind of a middle ground between, private party consignment here and then trade in, right? That's kind of how
Yeah.
I'm envisioning that. Yeah. That's
Yep.
nice. I didn't really realize that was a option there. That's,
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. We like Kyle. He does a lot
yeah.
of interesting things just to help out in the car space.
Yeah.
The other thing he talks about is the sales tax consideration. I'm only speaking for, like, I'll speak for Missouri. That's where his shop is. And Derek, that's where you're from.
Hmm.
In Missouri, and maybe in your state, I'm not sure, but in Missouri, if you trade in a vehicle, let's pretend you trade in a $10,000 vehicle and you buy the $50,000 used something or other from Kyle. Okay, now you're only paying sales tax on the $40,000 of value because you turned in the $10,000 vehicle. So you don't have to pay sales tax on the trade-in amount, just the difference between the purchase price and what the trade-in value was. So just be aware of that as you're trying to sell privately. That's a side benefit of the trade-in is you avoid about 10% on that trade-in value. In that case, it'd be $1,000 that you'd
Hmm.
save on sales tax, approximately.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. But whether you're selling privately or trading in, clean the thing up. Get all the McDonald's French fries out of there. Even maybe get it detailed if it's worth enough where, a couple $100 detail would actually make it worth even a couple thousand more. Clean it up. Try to have maintenance records if you can, and just get as high as a value as you can think of.
Yeah. One question I have, it comes around in client meetings, and I've never bought one, but extended warranties, like, are they
Mhm.
good? Are they bad? Like, what should we be looking for? Like, where are the good players, bad players?
Yeah.
Anything you can share around those?
Yeah. For me personally, until about 2020, I hadn't bought an extended warranty. Okay,
Okay.
believe it or not, with all the Jeeps I've owned, I haven't bought
I,
an extended
I
warranty.
thought that was like just came with buying the Jeep, right? It's like you got to do that, right?
No, so extended warranties are probably a big peace of mind transaction.
Okay.
Some people don't care, and most of our clients have cash reserves. If an expense comes up, they just take care of it. It's not
Yeah.
going to derail them. But others like, I want to have an outside party helping me for this unexpected expense that come up. So it's a peace of mind issue. They're going to be a couple $1,000 or so. All right. So if you just bought a brand new Lexus or Toyota that have really nice dealer warranties
Hmm.
anyway, I, I'm not buying an extended warranty on one of those guys as long as I'm maintaining it and keeping it up well. When I bought my 2018 Chevy Suburban in 2020, that's a big vehicle with a lot of bells and whistles. And I don't know what the previous person did with it, but it looked nice and it was well kept. But I said, Kyle, after I buy this from, it was out in the hinterlands of Kansas. Can you help me get an extended warranty that covers all the right things? He said, absolutely, I can do that. So you can buy an extended warranty after the purchase. You don't have to smush it together in this big emotional initial purchase of the vehicle. You can get that after the fact, as long as it's under a certain number of miles. Okay. And Kyle can help you figure that. Kyle's found an extended warranty company that covers what they say they're going to cover. And really, it's not a gimmick. It really does. So by the summer of 2023, so, in February 2021, I paid $2,800 for an extended warranty on the Chevy Suburban. You know what happened in the summer of 2023? The transmission goes out, coincidentally, around 100,000 miles, and whoop, the extended warranty took care of it.
So what would have that cost been for you?
$6,000.
$6,000. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that paid off in my case.
Yeah.
But not all the extended warranties work out. They're rolling the dice just as much as you are on those.
Yeah.
Things.
Yeah. And I know I was talking to Kyle last week. He said, some people, when you're at the dealer, maybe you just bought a new car there. Oh, there's the factory warranty, 3 years, 36,000 miles. Do you want to do an extended warranty? One thing, and I was like, oh, I really glad he kind of added some context around that. He's like, don't do the extended warranty then. It's like, wait for that factory warranty to almost expire. Then you go buy your extended warranty. Otherwise, you're just kind of doubling up. You're not going to use the extended warranty. So, and then,
time.
Yeah, right. So I was like, oh, yeah, just you keep that money. Don't give it to somebody else. You keep it, use it, earn interest, whatever, do other needs you need to do. But, and then another thing you mentioned was the exclusionary extended warranty. So it's a list of exclusions. That's what you're looking for, because that tells you, hey, these are things, it's, much more black and white of, we're not going to cover these. And if it's not listed, it's covered. Where if you get another type of warranty, there can be some gray area depending on how things are, what the issue is, how it's described, right? They might use terminology different. It's like, oh, that's a little gray area. We might not cover that.
Yeah.
So you're looking for exclusionary warranties there is what I've kind of learned here.
Yep. That's it. Know the exclusions. That's the secret to that policy. Yeah.
One question that came up is, so to get the best deal on a car, what is the age range of the car that is being traded? 2 years old, 3 years, like for, I guess swapping it out. If you're saying, I guess the question is, how I'd phrase it is, if you're going to do a trade-in, it's like, okay, I bought new, it's a couple years old. Where can I get the most bang for my buck on a trade-in? Is it a 2-year-old car? Do I need to be like 1 year? What is that? If it's past 5 years, it's not worth the trade-in anymore. What's the cutoff on that, do you think?
Well, so that I don't know the precise age of the vehicle that would provide the best trade-in, but if you're trading it in at 2 to 3 years already, that probably tells me you're either needing to have a new vehicle every 3 years.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of your car personality, or something's up and you don't like it, so you're trying to get rid of it. So I would investigate what could I sell this for privately versus consignment versus the trade, and just inform yourself as to what the possibilities are, assuming it's clean and well maintained and there's no lien against it. Okay, so those things have to be always in place. But I do your homework as to what, and we can help you figure that out. What's the private party sale versus the consignment versus the trade-in. But the cleaner it is, if you're going, I'm trading in, Matt, shut up about everything else, I'm just trading in. The cleaner it is, the better kept it's been. And the newer it is, the higher the trade-in is going to be. That's just the concepts anyway.
Yeah. Another question is kind of around the negotiation. So you say we're looking to, we're going to go the dealer route, and we're in the little sales room, the little cubicle.
Oh, stay out of that room.
Stay out of that room. Okay, that's put that in the notes there. But one question is, at what point do you show your cards of, am I paying cash? Am I going to finance? Is there any kind of a cat and mouse game to play there, or is it?
Sure.
Not really.
Yeah, keep the loan issue off the table because they're going to try to rope you into a monthly payment trap. So you're trying to figure out what is my actual purchase price, not the monthly payment, because they
Yeah.
can work all kinds of numbers in that monthly payment. You just want to know the actual purchase price. So leave that financing off the table. Leave the trade-in off the table.
Yeah.
You're pretend you're walking in with a big fat checkbook and you're going to write them a check. Let's figure out that price. And once I've nailed that down, oh, maybe I don't want to sell my car privately. What would you give me for this thing over here?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
so
Yeah. So the negotiation dominoes, if you will, is focus on the purchase price. You're all in there.
yeah.
Then shift to financing if you want to do that or not.
Yeah.
And then look at trade-in. Is it that kind of what we're looking at there?
Yeah, because then you know if it's worth it or not to do the trade-in versus sell it privately.
Yeah.
Or consignment, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Then you'll know what they're willing to get.
Yeah.
They're hurting for inventory. So
Yeah.
depending on what you have, they might be really interested in that trade-in.
Yeah. Yeah. And, one thing I would say is like we've been talking about here, but do your homework on the front end. So
Yes.
we talked about, researching cars and all that, but also rates, right? So just because the dealer quotes you, oh, we can get you into this car and here's your rate, that they might be making some money there on the rate for you
Sure.
there. So you got to know what the lay of the land is, either credit union or your local bank. What will they do for this type of deal that I'm looking to do? Because what you get quoted there, you might come in and say, I have an awesome credit score. Well, there's still a negotiation being done at that point in the deal around financing there. So just be aware that, oh, they show you a rate and, I don't know what, 7%, 5%, whatever the current rate environment is, that might not be the best thing there. And you might be able to get something better. So hear what they're saying, but also kind of validate with the market is really the key there to make sure you're not getting, they're not getting one over on you. And at the end of the day, they're in there to make money. So there's going to be profit built in the plan somewhere. It's just knowing where the gotchas are at and making sure you don't step into one.
Yeah. They want you to get in that little room.
Yeah.
That's where the money is made.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
But there's so much information on the internet now where you can pretty well dial in what the value of something is without ever walking onto a lot. So you don't need them to tell you what it's worth. I love folks in the car business. Trust me. But let's all do some homework ahead of time to figure out what you're willing to spend on the vehicle.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. Well, Matt, this has been a really fun conversation. I'm sure we could keep going talking about cars all afternoon, but we appreciate you taking some time out of your day to kind of share some insights into what to be looking for in the current car market, how to be thinking about it, and just knowing what our kind of car personality is. That's something that when you're going through those four things, it's like, a different seasons of life, I could see myself in different ones of those. And so it's just being aware of where you're at right now, what your needs are. So I thought it was a good reminder there. We're going to have a follow-up email with a lot of different resources. There'll be the websites, also like a calculator to, at least on the Missouri side. I'm not sure if Kansas has one, but just if you want to do some pre-work on the sales tax around that, just some helpful resources there to consider as you're looking to purchase the new car there. So, and then next month, we're looking to have our webinar around kind of property and casualty insurance. Roper DeGarmo is going to be one of our guest speakers. And so, everybody's been talking about insurance, how that's been up. Rates are increasing. It's been a big driver in inflation. And so he's going to kind of break things down for us, what we should be looking for. Obviously, we still need it there, but that's next month. So stay tuned for that, and stay tuned for those follow-up emails. So thank you guys for joining us today. Matt, thank you for educating us around the car market there and buying the next car with confidence. We appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. It was a lot of fun, Derek. Let's do it again sometime.
Yes, we should, for sure. All right. We'll see you guys. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.